Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and it's Sunday, so I'm here with Scraplift Crafternoon, where a group of my friends and I find inspiration and we all make our own layout based off of that. So today's layout is by Michelle Hendserson, and I am going to be using my Fantastico by Obed Marshall and also bringing in some of the Buenos Dias collection by him as well. And they all work pretty well together. The Buenos Dias is a little bit bolder than the pastel in the Fantastico, but they still work well. And then I have the Storyteller stencil that I'm going to use to make my mixed media in the background. A couple of different colors, plus I'm going to bring in some splattery bits and lots of ephemera that I definitely need to get used. I have my circle punch I'm going to end up using for part of my the different things going on the layout. And other than that, I'm just hoping to get some of this stuff used up. So I have my papers. I have lots of embellishments, some mixed media and stencil. I have my one picture and this awesome layout by Michelle. So let's see how this goes. So I started with a solid 12 by 12 white cardstock, and I've taped that down, the stencil down, and I'm using squeezed lemonade to push through the majority of those little circular bits and dried marigold to fill in a couple of the bits as well. I felt like these two colors were the best to match the papers and things that I want to use for this collection and over the big cluster that's going to go in that bottom right corner. So I just have to take the 6x8 stencil and move it down and just try and be really cautious about lining it up so that it's reasonably close to in line. I don't need it to be perfect, but close. So there it is, and I love the way that it turned out. I wanted it to come off the side of the page and the end of the page. I probably could have gone another layer over, like at least one more set of circles, but I was worried I would end up messing things up. So I just made my cluster on the bottom come over a little bit further. And so then I also worked the stencil onto a scrap piece of white paper. And then I used my circle punch to punch out, I think I punched 6 of them out. I used 5 over here on the left side. I'm going to just use the extra one over in the cluster. And I use the exact same color that is down and then punch out the stenciled bit, and then I lay it down with some fun foam underneath so it gives it some dimension. So on hers, she has like a darker blue and then some orange, and then like some of them are lined in circles, like a dark circle. And I did consider getting a stamp out and stamping around, but I loved the concept of putting this dimension on there and just using the same stencil that I had. So I am thrilled with the way that it turned out. So then I trim this down to an 11.5 by 11.5 so that I can use up some paper that I had cut a circle out of for a layout I did the other day. And so it also brings a circular feature to the background because it is circular paper with pink and orange with a hint of yellow, which works perfectly, and I will bring that in a minute. Right now I'm just trying to see what I want to do with my cluster over here, and this is when I determined that I thought I probably should have made at least one more line of circles, but because it looks like her layout is at least half of the page and mine is a little bit short of that, but that's okay. So I have this tag that says live over and over again in Spanish, and I wanted to use that, and so I matted it on some orange and pink paper that I had a scrap of so that it would bring that same color scheme forward as well. And then I'm just going to add a ton of embellishments. As you see over there, I've got a ton, and I only put a few things back. So that blue tag's going to end up going back because it doesn't work with what I end up doing. Although I guess I could have tucked it in up above, but that's okay. But I wanted to make a big cluster, but I also want to use a bunch of these little frames. These collections have quite a few of them, and I love them, but they're smaller, and I don't normally print this small of a picture. At least some of these frames are very small. So, but this was the perfect layout to do that because she actually has a frame over her picture. Now, this picture is of me and some of my friends that I used to work with at the Spanish immersion school, and so I felt like this was the perfect time to use the Spanish words on a layout. And so in the end, I use a bunch of different things that say like live and smile. One of them says something about this being your special day. And then I also have my title that says moments with you. All of that is in Spanish, and I'm not even going to attempt to butcher the Spanish way of actually saying it. So, but I do love the way that this turns out. I do put this chipboard frame, it's like a Polaroid picture frame, down on the picture because I was able to capture everyone in the middle of it. And I had gone to the graduation for the 5th graders, or at least I went to school that morning to see some of the 5th graders before they walked. I had to go back to my school before the end of graduation, but I got to see some of my friends. 2 of the people in this picture are retiring, rude, and and I got to see some of the students that I spent their entire elementary school career with. So I enjoyed that, and so that's why I put a lot of positive, happy things on here, like it says living the moment in English and fun, and then it says I think that there's one on there that says marvelous day or wonderful day, and so I just figured anything like that was going to be fitting. I add these balloons because it is a celebration, and that came from the Buenos Dias. As you can tell, it's a little darker than the blue that I've matted my picture in, because the blue I matted my picture in is from the Fantastico collection, and so it's a little more muted, but not really by a whole lot. But that seems to be the case with most of the colors. It's just very similar colors that are just a little bit muted. So now her title is down at the bottom to the left of the cluster, but because I have that little frame under there that says living the moment, I didn't want to cover that up. Like, I put it there for a reason, and so I thought that my title would fit there without covering that, but it comes down too far, and since it's puffy, I can't, it's not like I could cut off just part of it. And so I move the title around and look for a better place to put it, and end up right here, but over on the little circular side and covering part of the title, or that tag, which is perfectly fine. You can only see one full word in Spanish that says live, but I am okay with that because it's just repetitive. It says it 3 times, and so I'm okay with that. But then I put the title down there that says Moments with You because I love these people. I did make sure to put a couple of things on here for a reason. One is a little, it says color chrome, and then it says something about having a special day, and I put that on there because one of the people retiring is our art teacher, and so I thought that that color chrome kind of worked really well with that. I did put like a suit and tie, or a suit and a bow tie, because they are dressed up for the graduation, and I put a little radio at the bottom because one of the other people in this picture is our music teacher, and so I thought that was all very fitting. And other than that, I just tucked some things. I did pull up a floral that was in the bottom right corner, and it tore a piece of my picture, so I just put a little half circle in there to cover it. I had not thought about putting that frame down, and it was not going to work the way I had the picture, the way that I had that cluster of flowers in there. So here is Michelle's layout again. It is gorgeous. I love her mixed media. I would definitely consider doing something else. I have a stencil from Scrapping Reflections I almost used and probably would make it even easier to do something similar to what she did because it's a 12 by 12 stencil, so I could come over further without having to try and line things up. So we may try that in the future. But here is a close-up of the cluster. I hope you'll go down below. Check out Michelle. She has a YouTube and an Instagram, as well as all the beautiful ladies that I scrapbook and scraplift with. They will be linked below with the playlist, so please go check them out. I hope you'll come back and see me again really soon. I'll be here every day this month. Have a wonderful day, and happy scrapping.